If you're wondering how to stay motivated on your debt-free journey, then today's video is just for you. I'll be talking about what motivation is and how you can keep it fired up so that you don't give up, get discouraged, or, essentially let go of your dreams of financial freedom. I'm Wamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist turned wealth and wellness coach, and I help women all over the world be able to create financial freedom faster. And we do that by helping them to transform their money mindset, as well as implement a strategic plan to help them be successful with money in ways that they have never experienced before. Like Brianna, who last year said that it was the best decision that she had made to join our community because it really helped her to change her perspective, not just on money, but other areas of her life too. So that's where we dive right into this idea of motivation, which is actually one of the most frequently asked questions I receive is like, how do you stay motivated? Like, how did you stay motivated on your journey? Because I paid off over $90,000 of student loans and credit cards in 3 years before I turned 30. And while 3 years maybe doesn't seem like a long time, in hindsight, while you're in it, it is. And to make some of the choices that I made on my journey over that course of time was. And so really, when we're talking about motivation, really for us to have a common working definition, motivation is desire and willingness, but it's like your reasons. So if you want to feel motivated or stay motivated while you're paying off debt, what is your reason for doing so? And that sounds really easy. And on paper it is, in theory it is, but in practice it can be more challenging because I don't know about you, maybe you have other factors going on in your life, but I know if I miss some sleep, I've got a 15-month-old, it's so much harder to feel motivated to do things when I'm sleep deprived than when I'm well rested. For you, it might be, some interesting things happening at work or, personalities that you might have to deal with in your family or whatever the case is. And so for you to stay motivated is really going to be anchored in your ability to revisit your reasons or your why, but also to be able to drum up that desire and willingness. Now, desire and, the reasons are easy. The willingness, like, are you willing to make choices that are aligned with your vision when you don't feel like it? That's going to be the biggest difference that could be made in your journey, is being able to make the choices that make the most sense for the plan that you've created or that you're working, even when you don't feel like doing that thing. So there are a few things that could really help for you to attend to that and actually be focused. And they're going to be making sure that you have a strategic plan in place, like I mentioned, making sure that you have systems, and then making sure that you have support, because those create a safety net for when you don't feel like showing up. You can make progress anyway because those things are woven into the fabric of your life so that you can be successful regardless. So what do I mean by these things? Strategic plan just means having a game plan that includes and is solving for distraction, discouragement, doubt. So we are really good at making plans and either not implementing them or making the plan as if everything is going to go perfect. We're planning for a sunshiny day and a picnic when really, when we're planning, we want it to be sunshiny, but we need to also think about, well, what if it rains? What if there's mud in, the park? What if someone throws a ball and hits our meal, And so we're not catastrophizing or being negative. We're just making sure that we are using a contingency plan, a contingency planning process, let me say, while we are envisioning all of the best things that could possibly happen. So your strategic plan wants to include things that could potentially go wrong, and then what would you do in that situation? For example, I was actually messaging one of my students today, and we were talking about her getting ready to go to Europe for a month. She's making more money than she ever has in her business before, and she hasn't yet caught up identity-wise, and her mind is still catching up to this idea that she's a high earner and that she can go on vacation and enjoy herself and not have to hustle and grind all the time. So I asked her, what would help you to be able to go and enjoy yourself feeling like you did what you could before you left? She let me know what that was in the message. And then I said, great, what distractions or obstacles or challenges could potentially come up to keep you from being able to execute this plan? So she let me know. If she's on a road trip right now, literally living her best life, driving around the world. She said there might be really bad Wi-Fi in the car if she's trying to edit videos or send emails, so on and so forth. I said, well, what can you do if the internet goes down instead of what the original plan was? She was like, I can do X, Y, and Z. So she has me, right, which we're going to talk about that in a moment, support, to be able to bounce off ideas while she's creating a strategic plan to make sure her success is inevitable and she can go to Europe and live her best life without, trying to work this plan that she created, getting discouraged because it didn't go exactly as she planned because the internet maybe goes out, and then giving up or feeling like it's pointless to, work the plan or come up with a plan, and then maybe feeling guilty while she's in Europe or working while she's supposed to be on vacation. So you want to be thinking about that strategic plan, but you want to have contingencies within it just in case life happens. Now, when it comes to systems, right? You create the strategic plan, but then you want to have systems because the systems will back up that strategic plan. So your systems might be things that help you to automate certain things in, your process. Let's say you want to save money, and a system would be automating your saving. So it's not about you feeling like sending money from this account to this account on whatever day. If you already have a system in place and when you get your paycheck, it gets split and goes directly wherever you decide for it to go, then that's having a system that is going to support your inevitable success that has nothing to do with how you feel on that day when you wake up, right? So for your goals, leave a comment with what systems you can kind of brainstorm that would be supportive of you being able to make your success inevitable when it comes to staying motivated on your journey of financial freedom. Now, one of the things that a lot of students and just people I get to talk to mention is unexpected expenses popping up and making them feel discouraged, essentially, because they started saving and then they had to use it. And then they felt like they were making progress and then something happened. The water heater went out. The tire blew. The AC is broken. The kid broke their toe, like whatever it is. There's always going to be something. Like that's just what we have to expect to some extent. The goal is to figure out how to solve for that while we're doing our strategic plan, right? This is why we have an emergency fund, and then why we know you're going to have to use it at some point. That's what it's there for. And then you're going to rebuild it again. When you get discouraged, this is why it's helpful to have support. So you have a strategic plan. You get those systems in place to be that safety net that can do the plan for you when you don't feel like doing the plan. And then you have support to keep you encouraged as you are inevitably experiencing maybe some self-doubt. Maybe you've got some limiting beliefs coming up as you get closer to making progress in your debt-free journey. Maybe, you need to bounce some ideas off of somebody else or lean on someone else's belief in your vision when you don't see it at that time. And support is something that I think is underrated and needs to be utilized more. I think a lot of people get discouraged, but also maybe jaded. That's the word, right? When they try to get support, but maybe they got support from the wrong person. And that person actually shot down their dreams, or they got scammed. And so now they don't believe in, or they're tentative or scared to get support again because they've been taken advantage of. And so in those situations, while it's really difficult to manage an experience like that, are you going to let that hold you back from being able to figure out where you can get that support from? Some of the things that you can do when you're trying to vet your support to make sure that it's the right support at the right time is to have a comprehensive way of vetting them. So if it's a friend or whatever, like asking them what they think and kind of getting a gauge of what their perspective is so that you know whether this is a person that can support you or not. If we're in quicksand, do you want to try to get out of quicksand with someone else in quicksand? Or do you want someone that's out of the quicksand to be able to throw you a rope, a vine, so on and so forth, to be able to hoist you out. So I think that sometimes we're going to the wrong places and people and things to get support. And we're not taking enough time to really be intentional and strategic when it comes to figuring out where we want to get that support from. When it comes to like coaches and programs and different things like that, communities, and the internet really has made it so much easier for us to be able to access literally people from all around the world. I know I have a roster, okay? I've got a roster of coaches. But when I am getting ready to decide whether someone is who I want to invest with, my perspective is that I'm investing in myself with them. I understand that I have to come, you know what I mean, my part of the way to do the work in order to get whatever result I'm aiming for. But then I also make it very clear, or make sure that if I'm choosing a program or a person or whatnot, that it's what I need at that time, and that it's going to be the right fit for me by actually doing something that's maybe a little interesting. I will literally reach out to people who have given testimonials to somebody, and I'll ask them about their experience. Because sometimes it's not that the coach sucks, it's that they just weren't the right person for you. Maybe it's communication style, maybe it's how they work things and whatnot. And so someone might be great at helping someone else get a result, but that doesn't mean that they're the right person for you. So I ask people who leave testimonials what their experience was like, what helped them to get results or be successful, so on and so forth. Sometimes I get answers back, sometimes I don't, and it is what it is. But really having a vetting process is going to help you to identify whether this is the right support for you at this time, in order to wrap up those 3 things that are really going to help you to stay motivated on your journey. And again, when we go back to the definition of motivation, we really are talking about desire, we're talking about reasons, and we're talking about willingness. So those are the 3 boxes you have to check when you're saying you want to stay motivated. Now, I actually don't think motivation is necessary for you to hit your goals. This might be contrary to, popular belief. I think about motivation like I think about driving a car. When you go to drive your car, how many times do you start it? Once. So turning the ignition on sparks the systems in the car to be able, and I don't know much about cars, so pistons and things like that. It starts the car and it gets it going because it's an ecosystem. So when you get the car started, it keeps going because of the systems, because of momentum. So once you get started on your journey, when you start to get these other things in place, you're able to build momentum. And so instead of focusing on motivation and wanting to feel like it all the time, what would it be like to focus on how to build momentum, which is keeping things moving like a moving object and keeping that velocity going? And what's going to be required for that to happen? Because if you think about it, how much do you actually feel like going to the gym? Most of the time, if you're like me, you don't feel like it all the time up front. When you get there, you're like, okay, I'm here, let's do the workouts. But by the end of it, I don't know that I've ever talked to someone who regretted going to do a workout after the fact. So for some, motivation might be a result as opposed to an input, if that makes sense. Something that you do, something that you have up front that you get to benefit from. Maybe motivation is the byproduct or the result of having systems in place, a strategic plan, and support. And in that process, you see yourself starting to make progress and feeling really good about it. So like I said, one of my students who literally just joined our community last week, today's Wednesday. So I asked her, okay, well, what's your wins for the last week? She's already seeing progress, and it has nothing to do necessarily with being motivated, but that she's working a strategic plan, she's got support in place and systems, and all of those things are working like a car that's already turned on that can drive on a road trip for however long. So I will throw that little mindset shift there in at the end, because maybe it's not about feeling motivated and feeling like it all the time. Maybe it's more so about building momentum and allowing yourself to be able to rely on that so that you can make progress, and really just be open to doing an experiment, knowing that it's not going to be perfect. You will have to reroute, And, you're going to learn the most by getting started sooner rather than later. Hopefully, this is helpful for you. If you are interested in maybe some more mindset shifting stuff in your money journey, staying motivated on your debt-free journey, then I've got a free masterclass called The Money Mindset Makeover, and it's 3 secrets to be successful in building wealth without burning yourself out. The information is linked in the description, and I would love for you to get that information to have unlocks and really start to see more progress in your journey. Other than that, I will see you in the next video, and I appreciate your time and attention.